we're talking a lot about Canva's AI today. All these features that you see right here on my screen are available within Canva's AI. And before we talk about any Canva AI feature, one very important thing, in fact, this is something that holds true for any AI, not just Canva's AI. Your prompt. Your prompt matters a lot. The more detailed your prompt is, the better output you'll get. Don't ever give very basic instructions and assume that AI will understand. Never ever assume anything with AI. It's a good idea. This right here is a framework that you can follow. Give it a role. Say that, act as a science teacher, act as a math teacher. Give it a role. Give it your instruction where probably you're asking it to create a lesson plan, you're asking it to create a game, which we're about to do right now. Whatever it is, be very specific. Things like a lesson plan, be very specific. How long do you want the lesson plan to be? How many days do you want it to be? So on and so forth. A good idea to break down your instructions into steps. Put it down into points. That makes it very clear, right? Again, as social science teachers always tell, we tell our children to write the answers in points. It's a good idea to give the prompt in points as well. Very clearly described outcome. I want 500 words. I want the answer in points. I want you to use emojis. I don't want you to use emojis. Whatever it is, I want the answer in a table structure. Whatever it is that you require, be very specific. And constraints. Don't use very casual language. Don't use emojis. Don't use more than 50 words, more than 100 words. A good idea to keep this framework in mind when you're working with Canva. Starting with one of the Canva features, which is Canva Code, which is something that can help us create so many wonderful things, starting from games to, in fact, a lot of websites as well. Right here is Canva AI, which we are getting into. This right here is Canva Code, and just in the interest of time, what I've done is I've kept the prompt ready. Give me 1 second. I am just going to copy and paste, and you will see in a minute that my prompt is super duper detailed. Look at this. Before I click on enter, I'm going to let you go through it as well. Let me zoom in a bit. Now, I am ready to create an interactive educational website for my middle school students on Indus Valley Civilization. What I've done is I wanted to create a website and I've given it sections. As I said, don't ever leave anything too obvious. Oh, this is understood now. When you're using AI, be very specific with what you want. You are the teacher. You know your children. You know your classroom. You know what is required in your situation, right? You have to get things done with AI. I have put all kinds of sections that I need. One very important thing, another little mistake that a lot of teachers tend to make. You just come here and you write in your prompt and you click on enter. Please make sure Canva Code is selected. That's something very important. This is something that happens with a lot of teachers. They feel like, I put in my prompt, but I didn't get the same result as you said because you didn't select the code feature. It's ready. Since, as I said, I have put in a long prompt. The bigger my prompt is, the more detailed my thought is, the better response I'll get. And it has created an interactive map, a town planning, a daily life, this, that, the whole website is completely ready. Look at this. Another very important thing when you're dealing with not just Canva's AI, any AI, is iterations. There can be times where I thought that I will get this created. After looking at it, I am the teacher. I know my children. I know the context that I want to use this particular resource in. I can just feel like, no, this is not right. I want the color to change, or there's a spelling mistake, or there's a thing that my grade 6 students don't study. I probably want to delete something. I probably want to add something. If you look at this, is a wonderful website that it has created. So I can just go ahead and have that kind of iteration right here. If you see, it has written this is version 1. I can keep chatting with it and I can keep writing and saying that change the color, change this section, I don't like this section, delete this section, add another section, delete a particular word, add a particular word, whatever it is, I can keep my iterations on and I can get the best product out of it. Once you're done, first of all, if you are perfectly happy with what it has created, you can just come here, publish it right here, and you can always customize the link that you might want. In this situation, I might want to write down Indus Valley Civilizations, sorry. And I can publish it from here. There was one of you who was asking right now that if we can add a video within this. If you feel like you want to add a video here, what you can do is you can use in a design. It'll open in a normal Canva design. Now I'm sure most of you must have used basic Canva features already. Now what it has done is it has put my website inside a Canva design, an editable Canva design. So there can be times again where probably I want to manually edit a certain thing. Later on, I have realized I want another page in my website. I want to use my elements, my text box and my toolbar and my annotation. I want to use that in my website. I can very easily use this particular website that was created in a Canva design. Come here, start making good use of all these features. And as ma'am was asking, if I want to add a video, I can manually add a video here and then publish from here. So publish it from there. If you're happy, if you want to make some edits, just use it in a design and publish it right here. Change the link from here if you want and publish it from here. I am just going to move on and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the next feature that we have in store for today, which is magic activities, and a very common misconception that a lot of people have. It's an interchangeable word. Sometimes it's written student activities, sometimes it's written magic activities. Both of them mean the same thing. I will share this with you. These are all magic activities that have been created within Canva. And with that, I'm just going to come, and this one is a very, very straightforward process. Will not take too long. However, a quick reminder, everything depends on your prompt. This is something a lot of teachers struggle with. I put this prompt in, but I didn't get the desired result. Make it more detailed. Iterate. That's something very, very, very important for us to do. And I'm coming to Canva AI again. And remember, when I wanted to create a Canva code thing, I clicked on code and I wrote my prompt. If I want a video, I'll click on video, I'll write my prompt. Right now, I'm going to click on create student activities and I'm going to write my prompt. Now, student activities, as the name suggests, is everything that I might require for doing an activity inside my classroom, right? Let me just do a very, very basic prompt. Create a student activity on mensuration in class 7, visualizing solid shapes and their area and volume, right? Now, again, remember, I can choose the class from right here. I want it for my class 7 children. I want it for a math subject. If you look at this, there are a lot of subjects right here. In fact, social emotional learning is also mentioned right here. If there are teachers who deal with that, if there are teachers who deal with music and performing arts, wonderful activities get created. So you can just make use of this. Learning purpose, of course, your whole taxonomy right here, your Bloom's taxonomy is right here. You can choose what is the kind of focus area do you have in your classroom right now. Let's say I am a math teacher who struggles with explaining solid shapes to my children, who struggles with explaining this particular topic with my children. When I want to talk to them about area and volume, they get really, really confused, right? And in my situation, I probably want them to be able to use this particular topic, to be able to apply this particular knowledge. And that's the kind of activity that I want to create around this particular topic. And if you see, it has, first of all, it's confirming my learning objective. Is this the correct one? Again, as NEP says, this is where all our planning should start with, our learning objective. And I'll quickly check, yes, this is my learning objective. and it's giving me a few options. I can choose one or I can choose all three, or if I'm not happy with any of them, I can always refresh and say, though, no, give me more ideas. I can choose one and I can say that, okay, I want a 3D shape design mood board and I probably want a real life mensuration practice. I go ahead, I generate these two activities. Now remember, I always have both options open to me. If I have a classroom where my children can use devices, I can very well use the e-version of this, probably create this activity, share this as a whiteboard. You'll see in another few seconds. Create a whiteboard, share it with the children and let them attempt along with you. Or if you're in a situation where you probably don't have access, your children don't have access to devices in the classroom, you probably want to take a printout, take 40 printouts and distribute in your classroom, do that. You may also want this activity just as an idea. You have an idea as a teacher, oh, wonderful activity that I can do with my children. So one copy is enough for that. I'm just going to open it and show it to you. There you go. It has created a whiteboard. As I was saying, there can be times if you have children with devices in your classroom, make use of this as it is. Look at this, a collaborative whiteboard activity where the children are going to create some things. Or if you don't have access to a device in your classroom, maybe you're just picking up an idea from here. I can probably do an activity with my children with their scissors and chart paper and everything inside their classroom as well. So this whole whiteboard is completely ready for me. Print out, use online, use it as an idea, completely dependent on my situation. The other thing that I had asked it to create was a real life mensuration practice. There you go. This is now a document. It's welcoming me to 3D geometry, and it has created a proper document that I have ready that I can start going ahead and I can start applying in my classroom. This can be a good activity sheet that I have in my hands. As I said, take 40 copies out of it and distribute within my classroom. Remember, right now we are in the editable design phase. So again, if I don't like something, I want to edit something, I want to add something, I can always do that as well. I can come here and I can add elements, I can upload anything, I can add a video, I can add an image, I can add graphics, especially it's a math situation. You want to add some equations, you want to add some more questions, use the apps, use the equations app and type away your math. Everything right now is editable. So what it has done for you is, it has done more than half the job for you. As the teacher, I am just going to make sure that everything is aligned to my classroom, the kind of learners that I have in my classroom, and I can make the changes, I can edit it, and as I said, share it with a co-teacher from here, share it with all your children. Anyone with the link can view. If you have an LMS ready, you're using Google Classroom or you're using Microsoft Teams, you want to assign it through that. You want to use Canva classes, assign it through that. Download it, print it. All options are open to you completely.